Welcome everyone to part 2 of Tell Me More. Father Ralph Strohm and I was the preacher this past weekend, February 10th and 11th. And Tell Me More part 1 was done live but not recorded on Sunday between the 9 and the 11 a.m. services. And I wanted to do a little follow-up today, and I'll tell you why. On Sunday was the last Sunday after the Epiphany, and on that particular Sunday, the gospel lesson is always the Transfiguration, which is a great preaching text. But the Old Testament lesson was also worthy of a sermon. I won't do a sermon today, but I want to do a little piece on that reading. And let me read it to you first. It's a reading from the second book of Kings, and it involves Elijah, the great prophet, and his apprentice Elisha. And if you want to learn about Elijah and Elisha, you can turn to 1 Kings and start reading, and it goes all the way into 2 Kings. But this is a reading from the second book of Kings, the second chapter, beginning at the first verse. Now, when the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven by a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. And Elijah said to Elisha, "Tarry here, I pray you, for the Lord has sent me as far as Bethel." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets who were in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take away your master from over you?" And he said, "Yes, I know it. Hold your peace." Elijah said to him, "Elisha, tarry here, I pray you, for the Lord has now sent me to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets who were at Jericho drew near to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take away your master from over you?" And he answered, "Yes, I know it. Hold your peace." Then Elijah said to him, "Tarry here, I pray you, for the Lord has sent me to the Jordan." But he said, "As the Lord lives and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So the two of them went on. 50 men of the sons of the prophets also went and stood at some distance from them, as they both were standing by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his mantle and rolled it up and struck the water, and the water was parted to the one side and to the other, till the two of them could go over on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you." And Elisha said, "I pray you, let me inherit a double share of your spirit." And he said, "You have asked a hard thing, yet if you see me as I am being taken from you, it shall be so for you. But if you do not see me, it shall not be so." And as they went on and talked, behold, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen." And he saw them no more. Now, this is a very powerful story, I think, but also interesting. Elijah, the great early prophet of Israel, maybe the greatest prophet, chose Elisha to be his apprentice. Elisha came from a farm family, and he was out plowing, and Elijah came by and just took him. And the two of them were together for about 10 years. We don't know exactly all the things they did, but the relationship between Elisha, the apprentice, and Elijah, the great prophet, had a profound effect on Elisha. And so when it comes for the time for Elijah to be taken to heaven, Elijah travels to these different historical and religious sites in Israel, and he tells Elisha, "You don't have to come with me." But Elisha says, "No, I would not leave you." And so after they cross the Jordan River, when Elijah takes his mantle or cloak and the water separate and the two of them go over, I think Elijah suddenly realizes why Elisha didn't want to stay back. And it's because he wants to receive from Elijah the spirit that Elijah has, so that after Elijah is gone, Elisha, his apprentice, can then continue what Elijah did. And in fact, Elisha does that for probably the next 50 years. Ellen Davis, who's a professor at the Duke School of Theology, has written a piece which I shared a little bit on Sunday, but I want to share a little more today. And let me just read to you from a little piece she wrote. As far as we know, the two were strangers to each other when they first met, yet Elijah glimpsed something in this youth that no one had seen before. And Elisha had the courage to accept the prophet's call, though he probably didn't really understand it at the beginning. And we don't know how, well, we do know how long they were bound together in what she calls holy friendship, what we would call discipling. She calls holy friendship. We don't, because it was the depth of their relationship, not how many years they were together, that matters. They were together long enough so that when Elijah is taken up, he is able to pass on to the younger prophet, his apprentice Elisha, the spiritual legacy of a new self, a self that is wholly oriented to God. That is who Elijah was and who Elisha eventually grew to be under his tutelage, a wholly oriented to God. And Ellen Davis goes on to talk about this holy fellowship, a close relationship between you and one or more people that goes on in time, and you just share your life with each other, and you pray together, and you may do some other religious things together. But it's the bonding of the relationship that's important. Now, we're in, I don't know which series of sessions it is, but we're having our neighborhood groups right now. And while the neighborhood groups only last an X number of weeks, you may find somebody in your neighborhood group that you might feel a particular bond to or an interest in, who might become a part of your holy fellowship with other people. So I just wanted to share that with you, and this relationship between Elijah and Elisha and how we can apply it in our own lives. It's really about discipling, bringing someone to Jesus. Thank you.